A South Florida filmmaker's movie is now streaming on Amazon Prime.
There's gun violence, crime, and drug activity depicted in this new film about life on the streets of Miami Gardens.
How did you even hear about Murder Gardens? Like, who even told you about this film? How did you know it even existed?
On my social media, a mother who lost her 17-year-old son back in May tagged me on it. Her comment on it was, "Someone need to find the guy who did this movie."
Right. I feel like, unfortunately, those stories are some of the things that inspired the whole point of why I even wrote this film. You know, I mean, I'm from Miami Gardens. I've been here all my life. And unfortunately, I've watched a lot of like close friends of mine and people I've grown up with just get caught in crazy scenarios, crazy situations. I watched a lot of people lose their lives over the years, get locked up for crazy things. And unfortunately, you know, that's not what I wanted to highlight in the film. But it is a harsh reality that I think the film brings to the forefront, and it kind of sparks conversations like this, you know, and I think it's something that could be used in a positive way when people are open-minded and we can sit down and have a discussion.
Absolutely, absolutely. I watched the movie, and I can tell you, the name grabbed my attention. Not in a positive or negative way, but just, I've lived in Miami Gardens. I moved into Miami Gardens in 1991, and which was before the city became incorporated. So I have a lot of pleasant memories of the city, more so from a family camaraderie and, you know, holidays, positive memories. And when I saw the film, I knew the reality of what was happening. And within my circle and within, you know, even where I work sometimes, people would ask me where I live. And when I tell them I live in Miami Gardens, ew, you know, that's the response that they give. And I got offended by that. So when I saw that, it's more of what I've been hearing in the past. I didn't really look at the name as it's really been so negative against the city. I looked at it as, okay, this is something that popped out at me. So let me go watch the movie to see what it really is and what it's about. And that's what I did, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the storyline.
Thank you so much. That was going to be my next question. What did you think about the film?
No, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and the entire time I'm like this. And it was really interesting because, and of course, I don't want to give away the movie, because you want people to go out and watch it. But I like the storyline of a young man and his wisdom that he uses throughout the adversity that he was thrust into. You know, especially about losing his mom at an early age. And, you know, I mean, it's a reality. The story is somebody's reality. Not only that, but it opened up my eyes to the type of crimes and the level of crimes that
and the way of
is
thinking,
out there.
because it's a mentality thing. You know, I mean, I think that crime is something that, you know, we're not born criminals for the most part. You know, our environment kind of conditions us to be a certain way, or you know, the environment that we grow up, the people we grow up around, eventually you start to pick up negative things, you start to pick up positive things, and depending on, you know, the household that you're raised in and the scenarios you're raised in, sometimes you can end up living a life of crime. And you know, that's how sometimes good kids end up bad. You know, and I think that's what the main character kind of delivered in this film. It's funny though, like when I was writing this film, I never thought that it would get any kind of negative backlash, regardless of the name, whether it was Murder Gardens or not, because I didn't feel like the film was showing Miami Gardens in a negative light. I didn't feel like it was showing Miami Gardens in a light that's not reality. You know, I felt like what I was writing at the time is the reality for a lot of young black men that grow up in this neighborhood. You know, and that's not to say that it's a city full of crime or it's full of violence, but it is a reality that a lot of our children, you know, experience. So it was crazy to me when I started like seeing that from a city level, it was deemed as something that was written to like make the city look bad or to paint the city in a negative light, especially from someone who's from the city.
It would be a matter of how would we get them, or how could we get individuals to look beyond the name? Because I think in that case, for those individuals, the name is doing a disservice, because the movie itself is a really good movie that can teach us a lot. It taught me a lot, and for those who are like myself, that, you know, anything that sounds interesting, I'm gonna go investigate right away.
What's happening,
And I mean, in today's world, even when you look on social media, someone will share an article just by the title, right?
True.
Or they'll dismiss it just because of the title and won't even read. Some people will even comment on it just because of the title.
Right.
So in that case, with the movie, for the group that feels as though, you know, it's negative, I don't want to see it, I would encourage them to look beyond that and look at the movie, because you can learn something. I think one of the things that stood out to me was it appears crime is generational. I think in some extent, because you know, if you grow up in an environment, that environment is going to rub off on you.
Absolutely.
So in that case, if it's generational and we don't want to face that, then that's a problem.
That's a problem, right?
That's a big problem. Not the name of the movie,
right?
But the issue at hand.
It's funny you said. I was reading an article a few nights ago, and it talked about how it's very tough for people that are raised on survival to ever be able to show love properly. Because all they know is survival. And I feel like in our communities, a lot of times we're forced to be raised on survival, whether it's because of financial situations or, you know, just mental situations, or a lot of times it's just the crew that you're running with, the environment that you're running with, it puts you in this like survival mode. But if our kids are being raised and taught only how to survive and not how to love, how do you expect them to love when they get older? So I feel like a lot of the issues that we deal with, it does start at home. Like, we got to shower our kids in love and like raise them in love and not raise them in like survival. Like the main character, for example, like you explained, his mom passed away at an early age, and he was lost. He didn't know where to go, how to raise himself. He tried to like lean on his big brother, who obviously also didn't have guidance, and then he tried to lean on his stepfather. So he didn't have that right example, I guess, to kind of like push him in the right path. So I think it all starts like from the youth and from the kids.
I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you anymore. And this is where my choice to run as mayor comes in, because my focus, of course, is on youth development, crime reduction, and of course building a stronger, more productive and progressive community. I don't think no kids were born to become criminals.
No, not at all.
Right?
Not at all.
So it's our environment, and we as a community have that responsibility. You know, when you look at the intent of what Miami Gardens was, right? The city became incorporated in 2003. Since becoming incorporated, we have shown a lot of progress.
Absolutely.
A lot of progress. But we're not looking at the fact that we still have a poverty issue. And poverty breeds crime.
Of course.
Right? So while we're developing economically, look around, we see the businesses. Businesses are thriving. We have one of the largest stadium that is housing Superbowl, right? And all the championship soccer, international soccer games. So this city is an economic engine.
Absolutely.
But we cannot neglect the fact that while we're building these businesses that are doing so good, we have a group of individuals that are in poverty. According to the U.S. Census, the city of Miami Gardens, the age in poverty, age is 6 to 11 and 25 to 34.
It's crazy.
So if you think about it, this is an economic engine that is moving along, businesses are coming along. But then when you look at the future of this generation and the community,
they're living underneath the poverty.
They're living in poverty. So 10, 15 years from now, how are we going to continue to progress? We can't. So while we're looking at the progress that we're making, we need to look at what programs are we going to put in place for our youth?
Agreed.
What direction are we now changing? I can't feel comfortable to say my community is thriving and succeeding. And yes, I'm sitting in the biggest meeting with the biggest set of people. But then I know there's a group that's behind trying to figure out where their next meal is coming from.
Ms. Deer, for anyone that wants to learn more about your campaign or learn more about you, how do they find you? How do they follow you? Instagram, Facebook? How do people hear more from you?
Well, just type in Lavern Deer in Google. But on regarding my campaign, elect Lavern Deer.
Okay.
As simple as that.
Okay. Across
It's
all social media?
Across all social media. Elect Lavern Deer, and my website is my name, laverndeer.com.
Awesome.
I try to keep it as simple as can be. And of course, my phone number is on my website because I want to be accessible.
Right.
I want to hear from people. As I tell you, when I go and I meet people, I love to talk. I love to hear their stories.
Right.
I love to share my stories with them. So I put my email and my website and my phone number on the website so people can reach me.
That's perfect. I really appreciate you sitting down. I love having this conversation with you. Anything that I can do to help and bring more awareness to this community, I'm all for it. So, you know,
Thank
you
you.
have more knowledge and experience in this field than I do. I make films.
But you're a resident of Miami Gardens,
I
right?
am.
You are a
and I've been here
resident.
before it was Miami Gardens.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you so much, Ms. Deer. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me.